Now we're going to talk about an exercise to help us get used to crossing the break. So crossing the break tends to be one of the things that's the most challenging for beginning clarinetists. It can be a little tricky because we do have open holes on our instrument, and then you have to go from having very few fingers down to having a lot of fingers down usually. So I've come up with some exercises to help us get used to that transition and basically train our fingers how to cover the holes quickly while keeping our air fast. So it starts out with some note combinations that don't actually cross the break, but you're gonna have to trust me, it will help. So we start off with some notes that should be fairly familiar for anybody who's been playing the clarinet basically at all. Okay, so we start out with open G. We're going to slur down to a C, back and forth. You can do each combination of these as many times as you want until it feels comfortable. I would try to do like maybe 3 good ones and then move on to the next set of notes. So keep your air really fast. Try to squeeze your fingers as you move to the lower note and then release for the open Gs all at the same time. Because what tends to happen at first is we get a little bit of where we kind of get extra notes in the middle, right? Especially as we get down into notes that use both hands. So try to move all of your fingers at the exact same time. Go nice and slow. Keep that air fast. So first we do G to C. So that's just thumb 1, 2, 3 on your left hand. Then G to B flat is all of the same fingers that you use for C, plus the first finger on your right hand. So and once again, none of these notes for the first 2 lines use the register key. I promise we'll get there. Then G to low A, so this is thumb 1, 2, 3, and then the first 2 fingers on your right hand. Then the next line, we start getting into some lower notes. So I'll show you these fingerings a little bit more closely. So this is G to G, then G to F, and G to E. So our first one, G to G, is open G, and then we go down to low G. So all of your fingers, but no pinkies. It should sound like this. And then G to low F is all of those fingers, plus your bottom pinky key for your right hand. So it's down at the bottom, right beneath all of your other fingers. So as we get into this low range, try to keep the sound of those open Gs beautiful and focused. Sometimes we get a little honky on the open Gs when we're going to lower notes. So keep your air focused, try to keep that circular shape, nice and fast. Then G to low E, we're gonna use our left pinky. It's this pinky key right here. Once again, I have an extra pinky key, so ignore this one. It'll be sort of the inside pinky right there. So this should sound like these are kind of tricky, so if you have trouble at first, don't worry. Basically, everybody does. It's one of those things that looks pretty straightforward on the page, but moving all your fingers together at the same time is a little harder than it sounds like it would be. So make sure you're slurring so you can hear what your fingers are doing, and be patient. If you can only do the first line of this the first time you try it, that's totally fine. Just practice that until it feels comfortable, and then keep going. Now let's get into some notes that actually use the register key. So now if you look closely, if you're at all familiar with the second register notes, or if you've done the other second register exercise, you will notice that this is basically all the same fingerings as the first 2 lines. We just have our register key down now. So this is G to C. This one is G to G, but this G and this C are the same fingering. You just have your register key down for the G. So starting here, sounds like this. So that's G open, and then high G, thumb and register key, 1, 2, 3 fingers. It might be a little weird to get used to coming down this interval. It's kind of hard to do that on the clarinet. The clarinet wants to stay in the second harmonic or second register once you go up there. So you might have to kind of fiddle with it. If you need to tongue these open Gs, that's okay. We're mostly working on slurring upward and controlling that transition. Next one is G to F. Make sure that this is an F natural, so you'll be adding your first finger on your right hand to your high note. So then G to E, we add our second finger on our right hand, so we'll be going thumb and register key, 1, 2, 3 fingers on your left hand, 1, 2 fingers on your right. Then same sort of situation here. I'll stop the share and I'll show you the fingers for these once we start getting into the pinky keys. So this is G to D, G to C, and then G to B. So for the first one here, that looks like this. So open G and then D, thumb and register key, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then for the C, we add this pinky key. It's the same one we used for the low F earlier on your right hand. So and then G to B natural. So left hand pinky key, this one right here. It should sound like this. And then we start getting into some real funky ones. Let me show you what I mean. Ooh. The last line, it gets a little weird. So we start on A and then we go to B natural. So remember for this A, you want to use the side of your finger so that you can roll really well between hitting the A key and covering that first hole. So in this situation, if you are doing something like this, where you're using the pad of your finger and then trying to scoot down, you're not going to be able to cross the break smoothly. This is where we're actually crossing the break. So A, like this, to B natural with all of your fingers down plus the register key. So let me show you. You'll notice that I'm putting my right pinky down. This B key pushes down the C key as well, so I'm kind of just used to doing both of those to help coordinate my hands. You don't have to push this pinky key down. You can just do this side. So the important thing is making sure that that first finger is doing a rolling motion, not a scooting motion. That'll help you clean this up. And then our next one is B flat to B natural. So B flat is just like that A plus only the register key. Make sure your thumb isn't covering that back hole. And then this B natural is the same note we were just doing. So and then last one, B flat to C, which is the right hand pinky that we were using previously. Let's look at that one a little closer. So and if you can get all the way through this page, you can cross the break correctly. Remember to keep your air fast when you're doing especially this last line, because when you're going from A to B natural or anything like that, you're basically taking a clarinet that's this long and immediately changing it into a clarinet that's this long. You're going from as little of the instrument as possible to the most possible instrument. So your air has to be really fast and focused so you can get it all the way down the instrument quickly. If you're having trouble with that B, make sure your air is fast, but also make sure your fingers are completely covering the holes. If you're just absolutely can't get those notes out and you feel like you're doing everything correctly, this is a pretty common way for instruments to need repair, is some kind of mechanism is leaking a little bit or your pinky key doesn't work right. And so if you feel like you're doing it correctly, but it's just not speaking, I would pop into your repair shop and have them take a look at it, because that is honestly the most common thing I see wrong with clarinets, is that pinky key not being an adjustment, and then the bridge key mechanism can be weird. So like, for example, if this is leaking a little or if this is leaking a little, you can have issues with that B coming out pretty well too. Okay, well, hopefully now at this point you can cross the break into the second register, and now a whole new world of music is opened up to you. Congratulations!